Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Thank you. All right. And start off. This is a notice of public hearing and a conservation commission.
Yep, and read the first.
Okay. And the, read right here?
Yep.
Okay. The Fall River Conservation Commission will be holding a public hearing on Monday, November 19th, 4th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. in the first floor hearing room, 1 Government Center, Fall River, Massachusetts, in order to hear the following petitions. And now we read the first?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Notice of intent, NOI file number SE-0240727, tabled from the October 7, 2019 meeting. The owner/applicant is the Contractors Landing. The project location is Griffin Street / Evelyn's Way / Ash Street, Assessors Map G-27-14. Revised design filed by SiteTech on behalf of the owner applicant to construct of a multifamily housing development consisting of 5 single-family dwellings with associated parking, grading, and utilities in place of the commercial building project that were previously proposed.
And now roll call.
Roll call.
Walter Morello, here.
James Hornsby.
Andrew Liss.
And then for staff is William Roth and
Agia.
government access.
And Fall River Government TV, Gary Lee.
Okay.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Dan Agia. I'm a senior project manager at SiteTech Engineering with addresses here in the city as well as Dartmouth, Marshfield, and Worcester. As the acting chairman stated, we are here with regards to a revised application with regards to the development of this parcel of land that sits at the southerly end of the existing Evelyn's Way terminus and the westerly end of the existing Griffin Street terminus, located at the south end of the city of Fall River. Just for historic purposes, you may remember probably 2 or 3 months ago now, we had come into the before the board with a commercial development of the property of some contractor condos, associated parking areas, which was a rather large footprint. I actually brought a colored up drawing of it if you wanted to look at it for reference purposes. However, after getting some comments in from the neighbors, this board, the planning board, and the neighborhood in general, the applicant decided to revamp their proposal for what you have shown before you now, which is the construction of what is technically 5 single-family homes. You may remember at the last meeting when we resubmitted this to you, we had explained to you that we needed to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals to get a special permit from them before we would move forward on this portion of the permitting of the project. We were successful at the end of last month in receiving that special permit from them, and they were actually very happy that we were able to come to some type of an agreement with how this parcel should be developed with the various stakeholders that are involved. So when we get down to the actual project proponents and what we are proposing, again, this is the end of the Evelyn's Way cul-de-sac that provides frontage and access for a number of single-family homes.
Could you please speak up for the Reverend, please? He can't hear you.
No, I can't see it either.
Oh, it's on
Well,
here.
it's the same plan that you
I
have.
know, but I'm watching the
You want to come
colors.
sit down here? Maybe that'll be better for
No,
you.
I think I'm fine, but I was talking to myself. I wasn't really, if I need to
All
ask
right.
something, I will ask it.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, so again, at the end of the terminus of Evelyn's Way, which is a single-family home neighborhood, we have our subject parcel, which is approximately 43,682 square feet. Shaded in yellow, you'll see a bordering vegetated wetland system that was previously approved under an ANRAD application. The file number for said application is designated on the plan as well. So under this new proposal, we would be extending existing Griffin Street with this residential access drive that would come down through our portion of our parcel of land, create parking spaces for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new single-family homes. We've graded the site in a manner that will allow the front portion of this site to remain flat for parking purposes. And the rear of the properties have all been designed using walkout basements. So basically, we don't have to fill around the entire perimeter of the structure, having everything at one level. To save an amount of fill in the back of the structures, create some additional living space and light, so basically you can use your basement. And also to minimize the amount of disturbance in what is the buffer zone. So again, with this yellow area being the bordering vegetated wetland, the 100-foot buffer zone extends almost entirely to the northern terminus of the site itself. On a project like this, if we were a 4-unit dwelling, we wouldn't be subject to Mass DEP stormwater management guidelines, because for 4 single-family homes, the project would be considered exempt. We don't have that luxury because we are going to 5 single-family homes. So when we look at that, there are a number of things that we need to do regarding stormwater management, and that's really what drives the application to you. Anything collected on this paved surface, which is very important, would be run through what's called a storm scepter. It's a type of catch basin that has basically like an internal treatment system that removes the sediment. Now that's one of the requirements that we need to do. So a normal catch basin, the water just sits inside of the structure, it fills up and then spills out. These types of treatment catch basins, and they've become more and more common, subdivisions all over the city now have them as well. So we have to propose a unit such as this before we can discharge the stormwater that's collected through this paved surface. So handling this portion of it, because of space and no room for really constructing detention ponds and maintenance of such, we've chosen to take this paved surface, run it through this catch basin for treatment purposes, and discharge it. In order to offset the amount of impervious surface that we're creating, so right now we have a wooded site, so water flows off of that in a manner as it flows through woods and some grassed areas. After the development is completed, we have to provide calculations to you, which we have, that illustrates post-development runoff is equal to or less than pre-development runoff. And how we've been able to do that on this site is these first 4 homes will have treatment facilities or infiltration systems that are able to not only infiltrate, but actually hold. There's an open holding volume for the 100-year storm event. Now that's 7 inches of rain over 24 hours. So that's quite a bit of rain. We get rain now of 2 or 3 inches in a day, and you think that's a lot. That happens probably once every 2 years, storm frequency. The 100-year storm event is 7 inches of rain. So these systems, not only can they infiltrate the water that it's collecting, we actually have a physical holding empty hole in the ground of these plastic chambers that can hold 7 inches of rain off of each of those structures. So when we do our calculations for stormwater management, we take that into account. We take this new paved surface into account, and then also the establishment of lawn and landscaped areas around the site. And we provide a new calculation for post-development. And you'll see in the cover letter that we submitted to you, we are at or just under the pre-development rates. So we've met the DEP requirements for stormwater management. Although it's a very small project, because we're 1 house over the 4, we are subject to that. So the applicant does have to spend some additional money to ensure that no water or no increase in stormwater is leaving this site after development than previous. Beyond that, it's a rather simple buffer zone activity project. If you recall previously, we were altering this wetland area here. We had a wetland replication area to offset that. The building basically contained this entire area, so it was a much bigger development requiring much more stormwater management. So we've pared down everything with the project, the size of the buildings, the size of the overall alteration, and everything that we are proposing, we've met the performance standards of the Wetlands Protection Act. So those are the specifics of what we're actually constructing. We will be extending sewer, water, and things of that nature that'll get reviewed through site plan review. But the Conservation Commission, and the reason that we're here is because we will be altering that buffer zone, which the sites are currently already altered. But we'll be doing this construction of these 5 homes and the construction of that driveway as well. That's all. If you have any specific questions regarding anything, I'd be more than glad to answer any questions that you have or anyone in the audience.
Bill?
Yeah.
Oh, Reverend Hornsby, yes.
Could you point out where the Laurel Brook is?
That would be, it's actually on the very next parcel down, and it runs about here.
Right,
So this piece, if you look at the locus, and you can probably look up at your corner, when we look at the end of Evelyn's Way, this site originally went all the way to Globe Street, okay? The previous owner, actually 2 owners ago, cut this piece up into 3 pieces. The piece along Globe Street, this board has already conditioned and approved a condominium development for that, if you may be familiar with. I think it was 10 2-unit buildings. This middle piece is to be conveyed to the city Department of Public Infrastructure or whatever it's called, yes, so that they can maintain
right.
that.
That was my next question. Exactly where is that on your map?
That's this piece where it says vacant wetland, map G2713.
Right.
So that would run here. That's the piece that would be getting conveyed to the city. We don't
Along
own that.
with the brook.
We don't own that piece.
You don't own the brook?
No, it's off of our site.
Ah.
Yeah.
And
So that arrangement.
Probably belongs to Duro still.
No,
No?
no. This property was sold to South Beacon Development LLC probably 3 or 4 years ago, and then has subsequently been sold 2 more times before this applicant purchased this top piece. South Beacon LLC still owns the middle piece, and they're the ones that have made the agreement with the city to convey that parcel to them. So we do not own G2713,
Right.
which the Brook
I
owns.
understand that.
Okay.
I understand you don't own it. I'm trying to figure out if the city gets the brook.
Through this application?
No, just, what you said was that some of the wetland is being conveyed to the city.
That is my understanding, from a different owner that I don't work for.
Right, I'm not,
Well, I can't guarantee you that it's going to be. I think the planner can describe to you the conversations that have been had, but it hasn't been conveyed yet. So until it does, I can't tell you that it is or hasn't.
okay, I'm not asking you.
I think to clarify, the map
That's-
G2713 has the brook on it.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Yep, what? Say it again?
This map G2713, the lot that's here, that says vacant wetland,
Yep,
that,
So,
if you
see
further,
this head?
that goes further down the
The
page,
stream does this.
and the stream is
That's what I
in,
thought.
the stream is in that parcel that is to be conveyed to the
This is the
city.
property line
Yeah.
that we have here.
right, I understand that.
All right, I'm just trying to answer your question.
Right, and now, will any of your water go into the brook? You've
Yes, water will flow downhill through the wetland system and ultimately feed the same wetland system that it feeds now. That's a requirement, that we don't take water away. We can't increase the amount of water, and we have to make sure that it is provided with the amount of treatment. That's why we have that
No.
catch basin system.
Now, I live on a hill
Yep.
near wetlands. And my water goes into the city, some of it goes into the city sewer system.
Okay.
Will some of the water go into the regular sewer system and
No,
be treated?
not at all, because we're downhill.
Okay, you've answered the question, thank
So,
you.
right now, there is a municipal drainage system in Evelyn's Way. We actually sit below Evelyn's Way, so.
Yes, you do.
So we can't make it into Evelyn's Way unless we were, and actually, the drainage in Evelyn's Way discharges out here and makes its way to that brook as well, currently as well. So yes, the water will make it to the brook.
That's about all I think of now, except there are some people here who.
But we're gonna get to that, so.
Yes.
Bill, any questions? Okay. Dan?
Okay, Dan, I just have a quick question.
You need,
If you could come forward,
Sure.
please?
You want me to get up?
yeah, come on up, and you need to state your name for
Yeah, I
the,
forgot about that part. I should know this by now.
You get, no problem. No
No, I
problem.
just have a quick question. It's Cheryl Demora from 35 Evelyn's Way. When you do good with the presentation, the problem is we can't really see anything you're showing, you know, when you're
Well,
standing up there.
I'm-
No, you're
I'm
supposed to
presenting
direct
it to
it
the
to them,
board.
that's fine, but that's why I'm just asking a quick question. Regarding these new systems and stuff with the water, the overflow, or where is it going? I couldn't see from one,
Okay.
that's all.
come on, he can show you.
Yeah.
Right now, actually, let's take a look at this. And you don't have they have the ability to look at the whole plan set.
Yeah,
So there is an existing conditions plan. Okay,
yeah,
so right now, this is the end of the existing cul-de-sac.
right.
Okay, right now, see all these little lines?
Mm-hmm,
That's the elevation of the ground.
right,
So right now, this water runs like this, perpendicular to that slope, down the hill like that, and it all feeds this well.
mm-hmm,
Okay, so when we're developing these homes will sit lower than Evelyn's Way. So the water that comes down this driveway gets collected in this driveway into this catch basin, you know, the regular grates that are in the ground. This one has a special little treatment thing in it that takes the dirt out, and then that will be discharged here and continue down the slope the same manner that it goes now.
okay, so it's towards Ash Street.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Well,
couldn't-
because again, down here, this is where the brook is that the Reverend's
okay.
speaking of. So all the water ultimately makes it down to there, and there's a head wall, and then it gets piped for a while, and then it opens back up again on the other side of Durham. So but now, that's for the driveway. When we build these homes, in the front of the homes, all of the roof drains,
Right,
that all gets collected and gets piped into these underground plastic domes. You've probably seen them.
oh, I think that, yeah,
These are rather large ones, and they're designed to hold 7 inches of rain that hits this roof can be stored in that system. Each one of these roof drains is equipped. The pipe comes down, and then there's like a little elbow that comes up. So if for any purpose these were ever to overflow, the water is going to come out of the roof drains on the backs of these houses and then continue down.
and then,
No,
I mean, I'm
it's
not.
physically impossible for water to
Yeah.
flow
And
back
I'm not
uphill.
familiar with the system themselves, but
Yeah.
say we got 2 inches of water and they all collect 2, this one's 3, does it automatically just
Yes,
dispose of it automatically
right,
each day or
they're
each time
designed
it
to-
rains or whatever?
They're designed to infiltrate within 24 hours.
Okay.
So now again, they can hold 7 inches
Yeah,
of rain.
right.
Normally, we'll get an inch or 2 of rain,
Yeah.
which is minimal. So it'll still get collected in that system, and then we're required to promote groundwater infiltration, so that we're feeding the groundwater system. And this is a mechanism that allows us to do that and handle increased in runoff.
Yeah, well, it makes sense because when it does rain heavy and stuff,
Yep.
it'll be all mushy, this, all the water sits there in pools of water, and this is a little bit lower, I didn't realize that than Evelyn's Way, so
Yes.
it could sit all around there too, but it's gonna flow down now.
Yeah, so
what
what'll
you're
happen
saying,
is,
to the-
these, if you're looking
Yeah.
at, here's Evelyn's Way. Okay, and then right now, the site does this, you know, we have our wetland here, and then ultimately is where the brook hits.
Right.
Okay, our property line might be something like that. So we're now gonna build houses here. And when I say a walkout, what that means is that from the front of the house, you see the front door, okay? On the back of the house, you actually walk out of the basement elevation. You've probably seen this before.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the decks sit up a little bit higher.
Yes.
So that allows us to not have to fill with dirt
Right,
all the back
Right.
of this yard. Where on the other commercial one, we had to fill all that, and that's why we needed, if you look at the back of this, all of this retaining wall behind the buildings, fill this wetland and everything else. So that was the previous. So you can see the amount of pink, the amount of gray on this plan in comparison to that one.
yeah, no, thank you, I just wanted to make sure I could, yeah, so there it is, actually what you're explaining, the lower, no,
Yeah.
thank you. I have one other question, it might sound silly, but can you tell, I don't know why there's a for sale sign on that property.
Yeah, we actually had a discussion about that.
I'm like, I
That's-
don't
calling this
understand.
Yeah.
What? Oh,
I
okay.
called
I
him this morning.
called
Oh,
John.
I said, oh.
I called John, who I think you've all met, and as soon as I called him, he went back down there today,
Oh, oh.
and he spoke to a couple of the homeowners.
Yeah, yeah.
That's still the same for sale sign that was there before he purchased the property.
Oh,
So he keeps calling the realtor to have him take it down,
Oh, I
but
said-
it's been sitting there all this
I
time.
said, I don't know, maybe there's something new going
Well,
on here.
and that's what I called. I said, I
Yeah.
called him and I said, John, I
Oh.
said, what are you doing? Why is there a for sale sign?
Yeah.
He's like, what are you talking about? I said, so he went to the site, he says, that's the same for sale sign that was there before I bought the
Maybe
property.
it fell down, somebody put it
Maybe.
back up, but we didn't notice it before. I'm like, I don't know.
We spoke about that earlier.
Yeah, oh, see? All right, yes, thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
Hi, I have a
you have to
question.
come down. You
No, I
have
don't
to-
have to. I'll say my name. Andrea Agia, 46 Evelyn's Way. I just have a quick question, because I know you've probably heard the neighbors talking about the smell that we get when we have a lot of rain and it fills up, something's filling up at the end of the cul-de-sac.
Well, this cul-de-sac,
That probably needs to be clear.
the same way that we're proposing these infiltration chambers for this roof area, there is a system underneath this cul-de-sac, a larger system, that does this exact same thing. And that system has an overflow, and that's this pipe that I was referring to before. So that may need to be cleaned. I don't know when the last time the developer had it cleaned, or, I don't think the city's taken that road over yet.
I know that John, the neighbor that lives at the cul-de-sac,
Yeah.
he's had to call the city several times,
Okay.
and they've come down and
Yeah.
they've pumped it out.
And they have, okay.
Yeah, because it really smells like
So,
sewage down there.
there's a very large system underneath there.
Mhm.
That might be what they're pumping out. I don't anticipate that, because the sewer manhole is here.
Yeah.
But this has an overflow, so in certain times of the year, maybe there's some stagnant water, or, I'm not sure what
It's
could be
usually in the
happening.
summer months. I don't know if it's when we
Really?
have a lot of
Well,
rain and.
it might be during the summer months when things even get drier, because that's when you get organics that are exposed and are drying. Usually under a wet condition, you don't smell it because it's masked by the moisture and the fact that it's underwater. When there's no water in there, then maybe you get organic smell. Maybe that's what they're getting.
Do you anticipate this might be happening with your infiltration system?
I mean, they're to be maintained. One difference is this system collects the water that hits the streets, which is contaminated water. There are sediments, there's oils, there's greases. So this system accepts all of those contaminants. Our systems only collect roof runoff, which is technically considered clean runoff under DEP's stormwater management guidelines. That's why we're not taking our paved surfaces and trying to put that in the ground. We're taking off what's considered clean rooftop that doesn't need any pretreatment and infiltrating that into the ground.
Okay. So who, if it does happen, who is responsible for taking care of it?
It'll be the property owner.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Thank you.
condo association.
If it's a condo or it's an apartment, whoever the ultimate holding entity is. If it's a condominium thing, it'll be the condominium association. If they're just gonna be straight rentals, then it would be the actual landowner.
Have you decided that yet?
That's beyond my pay grade and my scope of this. I'm assuming they're gonna see how successful either the interest is once they put up unit number 1, and then they'll make a determination on whether or not a condominium or a privately owned
So it
situation.
can be privately owned?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because I was under the impression it was only condos,
I
but
thought it was
no.
on
No, it could be
parcel
either
thing.
one.
It's one parcel, right?
It's
No.
one parcel, correct. So it'll be either, so like even if you had, not the same, but if you had a parcel that had a 3 tenement, a 2 tenement, a 6 tenement, you can rent all of those units. He could own 5 single-family homes and rent the 5 single-family homes, or you could sell each one of them as a condominium, and then the condominium association and the condominium documents govern the whole thing. You have what's on the walls in, but the association would be responsible for plowing, for trash, and all those kinds of things like that,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you.
If you decide that you feel they've met the burden of proof for approval, I would recommend that, standard conditions for erosion control before, during, and after, establishment of stabilization of the slopes. Sorry, I'm getting a stabilization of the slopes.
Okay.
And that could be preferably in a grass method, but if construction is during the winter where it cannot be done, then we would specifically request that the stabilization be a jute mat or a mat. The matting, jute mat, I guess, that's
Yeah.
the matting or jute mat for if it is needs to be stabilized in the winter. And then it's subject to site plan review.
Yeah, there'll be a much higher number of conditions and stipulations and construction activities through site plan review. This board deals with only the Wetlands Protection Act and what's associated with that. But when we go through site plan review, that'll be much more detailed with regards to construction and sequencing.
So standard conditions, erosion control, and then stabilization of slopes, because it is pretty slope. and then if it's, needs to be stabilized in the winter, it needs to have matting.
Yeah.
No work to be done
Okay.
until site plan review.
Oh, and no work to be done until site plan review approval.
With that in mind then, do we have a motion with standard conditions, stabilization of slopes, erosion control, and matting, subject to, what else am I missing?
Site plan review.
It's site plan review. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I just had just some discussion to the planner. Do we need, there's some wetlands there that are adjacent, that will belong to the city. That's correct?
Correct.
On an adjacent parcel,
On
yes.
adjacent
Right.
parcel.
And that should be public land?
It would be owned by community utilities, whether we want it to be accessible to the public or not it would be subject
Should we have a
to.
sign there that's, remember when we talked about the islands
Oh,
thing?
in addition, and the third thing.
Okay.
Signage at the back of the, at the back of the parcel, probably in about a minimum of 3 locations that it's.
I'd say at least one behind every house.
Yeah, one behind,
At the limit of work, something like that.
yeah, that they're a wetland, a sign that it says that this is a conservation area, wetlands, no clippings.
So would you, to amend the motion, with all the,
I'll make that amendment.
okay,
I'll second that amendment.
all right, with that in mind, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you.
All right.
We'll see you there, 6 in the morning. Don't forget,
9 a.m.
9 a.m. I'll be there early.
You'll be there with.
Okay. The next order of business we have tonight is the reappointment of our chairman, John Brandt, to the CPC board. We always have a member for that, and John is the one who handles that. Would somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion moves. Fantastic. Next, we have approval of the 2020 meeting dates. Patty Agia.
Oh, I haven't seen those.
Okay.
You all got them in your packet?
Well, we did
They
get,
were in your packet.
then, okay. Then I apologize. It's in my office right now.
Yeah.
Take a quick peek.
I can list
It's all
them.
the first Mondays of the month.
Yeah, it would be the first Monday, so January, it's the first Monday of every month,
Yeah,
except for September.
okay.
Because it's Labor Day.
Right,
Correct.
September 4th.
So January 6th, February 3rd, March 2nd, April 6th, May 4th, June 1st, July 6th, August 3rd, September 14th, which would be the second one, and then October 5th, November 2nd, and December 7th.
All right. Motion to accept those meeting dates?
Yep, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Next one, approval of minutes from the meeting of October 7th, 2019. Do we need to read those? No, didn't think so. Who would like to make a motion on the approval?
I'll make that
Okay.
motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion approved. All right, last we have public input. All right, that's already done. Motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, aye.